Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar focusing on girls in STEM. My name is Lindsay Glassner. I'm going to be your presenter tonight. I'm joined with my colleague Kelly Schaefer, who will be monitoring the chat window. I see a lot of familiar names tonight, but we'll introduce you guys to our webinar platform, Zoom, real quick. For those of you who haven't joined us before, we do try and have an interactive webinar. Less so with prompting questions tonight. However, this topic of how to engage girls in STEM, we are really open to any other organizations or recommendations, activities, etc. that you may have. So please do share those in the chat window. To open up the chat window, we have a nice little quotation bubble down the bottom. Click that. And then there's the to button. We do like to have you guys send the messages to all panelists and attendees. That way any suggestions, ideas, questions that you may have, others can see, and we can collaborate together on this process. So let's test out that chat window. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and what type of educator you are. Welcome, Maddie, a Raptor educator from Milwaukee. Phoebe, good to see you again. Jill in St. Louis. We'll be out in your neck of the woods, Jill, for NSTA come April.
And Kelly, too.
And Kelly, too. Ooh. Emily, welcome. Ooh, Girl Scouts of all ages. Say, that's what you do, Kelly. You're also Girl Scouts.
Yeah. Our troop is brownies now.
Brownies. What were you before?
Daisies.
Daisies, that's right. Now you're brownies. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's webinar. I see we have a small group, but we're excited to have you guys join us. And forgive me if I cough during this. We're recovering from the polar vortex, cold and winter storm, Stormageddon, and now it's 50 degrees and sunny outside. So our health is going crazy over here. Okay, so this is the Lab of Ornithology. It's slowly getting closer to looking like this instead of a polar vortex snowy situation. We are associated with Cornell University. However, the lab itself is a nonprofit, membership-driven institution, and our mission is to interpret and conserve the Earth's biological diversity through research, education, and citizen science focused on birds. Specifically, Kelly and I are with the K-12 education group, and our mission is to develop innovative resources that build science skills and that inspire young people to connect to local habitats, explore biodiversity, and engage in citizen science projects. Again, my name is Lindsay Glassner. Kelly is going to be monitoring the chat window. And we introduce you to us and our programs. However, we're not really the key players that's going to be taking place in this webinar. What our focus tonight will be are these three programs, two of which we've had some great collaborations with, the National Girls Collaborative Project and SciGirls. Another one, Fab Fens, which is a strong partner for SciGirls and National Girls Collaborative Project. So to give you some perspective of what tonight's webinar will be, again, our focus is girls in STEM. However, our resources here at the lab are not focused specifically for girls. Instead, what we've done is we've worked with our partners, NGCP and SciGirls, and have utilized the research that they've conducted over the years and guidelines that they have developed to make educational resources more accessible to diverse audiences and girls. So tonight's webinar, we're going to talk about girls in STEM. If you could see my quotations around, my air quotations around girls in STEM. But as many of these organizations like to focus on, the strategies that we'll discuss today don't just benefit girls, but young boys as well. So and I forgot my stats on my desk. Do you want to run and get my handout with the stats? Because NGCP and SciGirls had an amazing reach of youth and underserved audiences, as well as educators around the country. And so I want to make sure I do those programs justice of how much reach they actually have. So as I mentioned, we will not be focusing on a specific resource that our K-12 education team has developed, but we're going to talk about the strategies that these programs have come up with. And a lot of the strategies you'll see are very much aligned with the work that we at the Cornell Lab present, but as well programs that thank you, Kelly, that many educational groups are trying to focus on now. Breathe, Kelly, breathe. So the first program I really want to introduce you guys to is SciGirls. SciGirls, I fondly think of SciGirls. For those who aren't aware, this is an Emmy award-winning PBS Kids television show, website, and educational outreach program. And it draws on cutting-edge research about what engages girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, aka STEM, that supports their learning. And their ultimate goal is to have these girls potentially pursue careers in STEM, but also build their self-identity and confidence in their abilities to partake and understand STEM. So most of the URLs I'm going to try and keep on the slides. However, Kelly can scramble if she wants to try and share the URLs. That said, I'll also be doing a lot of live screen website stuff too. Because when I was prepping for this, I got down in a big hole. You just keep clicking the links and links and you go down there. Yeah, that's what happened today. And there are a lot of great resources. As part of the SciGirls, if you just Google SciGirls and click on the first website, you're going to be taken to that PBS website, and that is designed for young girls to participate in. Their target age group for SciGirls is between 8 to 13 years old. So that's what that website is focused on, where they have the videos, they have online activities, and educational resources. However, for us as educators, SciGirls Connect is the national outreach effort that encourages educators, both formal and informal, to adopt new research-based strategies to engage girls in STEM. Now, this whole project, if I recall, is NSF funded, was originally.
At least partially, yeah.
In the early groundbreakings at one point, because at one point it was Dragonfly, but it has grown to be the leader or the most widely accessed girls STEM program available nationally. And that's because they've reached over 14 million girls, educators, and families. So this is, if you want to talk about girls STEM education, SciGirls is the first go-to resource. Now, on SciGirlsConnect.org, I'm going to quickly go to that URL. Here's their website. A lot of resources are available. You'll see the resources drop down here. Earth and space, engineering design, health, life and environment, physical sciences, technology, role models. Let's check out engineering design because that's always a popular topic. This right here will show you a lot of educational resources, educational resources that are available for you to use with kids. When I was glancing through here, my eye was immediately drawn to like deep sea divers. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on a webinar, but I actually minored in marine biology. So I'm a marine-minded person and a certified scuba diver, advanced diver, before I started to get into the world of birds. But a lot of this has some really great stuff, and you can go see and download these actual activities. And most recently, I don't think it was the most recent season, but The one before that was completely bilingual. So you'll see a lot of bilingual resources as well. This top one here, Birds and Blooms, it's an engineering design all around designing a bird feeder out of recycled materials. What's great about this is there's, oh my gosh, what's her name?
Viviana?
Viviana, thank you.
Yeah.
Viviana, who was the highlighted Cornell Lab researcher in one of their citizen science themed programs. But anyways, you can download activities and go from there. So they do have a whole bunch of free resources accessible. Now, on the, that's not what I wanted. On the SciGirls website, their main approach is, again, trying to engage girls in STEMs, but the rationale research that they provide are that boys and girls do not display any significant difference at all in their abilities when it comes to the fields of STEM. And really, girls have a perception that can happen as early as first grade about how they should perceive themselves in the field of STEM. And that usually is caused due to social and environmental factors. And these differences consistently appear in girls in their interest and their confidence in STEM subjects. Again, one article I was reading could be as early as around first grade or so. So these differences can be linked to negative self-perception, and they are enhanced by stereotypes. So based on a lot of the research that SciGirls has done, and if you want, feel free to go to the SciGirls Connect website. I got into a whole hole looking through all their executive summaries and research articles. There's a lot of research there, but based off of all the research that they have done, they have developed what they call the SciGirls Seven. And the SciGirls Seven is something, these are 7 strategies where they focus on 7 ways for us as educators to foster a productive and open learning environment that encourages girls to have an interest in STEM fields. So what I'll do is I'll go through the SciGirls Sevens. Real quick, somebody asked, do you have a favorite clip?
I was asking somebody.
You asked that, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, too many to choose from is definitely right. Kelly and I had the opportunity to attend one of a SciGirls training,
Yes.
I think through NGCP it was.
I think it was.
An NGCP partner, which we'll talk about, but attend a SciGirls training, and the 4 activities or so that we went through were awesome.
I've done them with the Girl Scouts.
You've done them with the Girl Scouts, yeah. So it really is, there are quite a few to choose from that are really cool. Anyways, I digress. What I want to go through right now is talk about these SciGirls 7, these 7 strategies on how to support girls and their learning environments. And you'll see a lot of overlap or strategies that can be implemented with our work here at the lab, but these are great recommendations to go by. So number 1, girls benefit from collaboration, especially when they can participate and communicate fairly. So one of the first things that they talk about is you want to develop an open and positive atmosphere. You as the educator want to make sure that the girls feel open to communicate, and many times we may not have the opportunity to solely isolate that we're only working with girls, so there is going to be mixed gender happening. And you want to ensure that the girls still feel comfortable and able to communicate in those situations. So one of the strategies that they recommend is if there are any form of negative talks or comments which could be led as insulting, even in a joking manner, you as the educator need to shut those down and ensure that that doesn't happen. Another strategy could be encouraging working in small groups. And this could either be cooperative groups where there are assigned roles, or more in a collaborative mindset where there are no predetermined roles at all. But allowing collaboration in an open and fair environment is really important. The next one, girls are motivated by projects they find personally relevant and meaningful. This goes hand in hand in something that Kelly and our team have always talked about, where kids are motivated naturally by investigating their own questions because it's personally developed by them. It's meaningful to them. It's exactly the same way with girls. You want to be able to allow them to learn about topics that they are interested in. However, that may not always be possible. So there's several strategies you can do to help make those projects meaningful and relevant to girls. Demonstrating and discussing your own enthusiasm for a project. Providing case studies or how that material is relevant to the girls' lives. Demonstrating why they should know this. They call this providing the reason to know, or something along those lines. So that way, you're not just providing information for the sake of it. There's actually a purpose or a meaning behind that. And that makes it more relevant for the girls. Our third SciGirls 7 strategy is girls enjoy hands-on, open-ended projects and investigations. Don't we all? Is it all women on this webinar? I think it might be all women on this webinar. In which case, don't we all, realistically? This is something that we are advocates on, immense advocates on here at the Lab of Ornithology, of trying to allow inquiry-based activities. And there are many different levels of inquiry-based activities, from anywhere from a guided all the way to an open, but allowing more open-based where there are no step-by-step directions is really beneficial. However, us as educators, depending on how we have developed our teaching methods, it can be difficult. We need to resist the urge to intervene, resist the urge to answer the girls' questions, is this right? Where many times they just want to know the right answer, but we need to resist the urge to tell them, yes, that is right, good job. Or instead encourage them to think about, well, what do you think is the problem? Or what do you think it's right? Encourage suggestions on how to approach a problem where it really is more independent based and not a step-by-step cookie-cutter investigation. So that's a really great opportunity to allow them to build that independence and, again, bringing in that collaboration. So that goes really hand in hand with this fourth statement. Girls are motivated when they can approach projects in their own way, applying their creativity, unique talents, and preferred learning styles. So allowing girls to design their own experiments. You are the facilitator, not the leader or the expert. They're not looking to you to confirm their right answer. You are simply helping them on this journey, guiding them through it, and they are the ones who are designing it. It's very open-ended, very hands-on. And then what I find is wonderful is letting girls communicate their findings in different ways. And that's really meaning a matter of not just standing up and presenting their findings or creating a PowerPoint to present it or having to write a report, allowing them to decide how they want to share what they've done and what they've learned. Maybe it's developing videos, maybe dioramas. There's so many different unique opportunities out there, but allowing the girls to use their creativities and talents to communicate their findings is very beneficial. Okay, number 5 of 7. Girls' confidence and performance improves in response to specific positive feedback on things they can control, such as effort, strategies, and behaviors. This is something I personally really struggle with. First and foremost, I struggle with part of this. I really love rewarding success publicly and immediately, focusing on specific contributions by each girl. However, there are different ways to provide that positive feedback. And this is where I personally struggle, saying statements such as, "You're really good at this." we want to avoid saying such general statements like "you're really good at this," because that can send the message that success comes naturally. Instead, one of the biggest reasons, not biggest reasons, I should backtrack. One of the best strategies that we as educators can use is helping girls understand the mindset that these skills that are necessary for STEM, that allows them, that's a skill that can be built, can be practiced, can be developed. By saying you're really good at this, it's just, again, talking about a statement that comes naturally. Instead, we want to focus on this improvement with practice over time. Talking with Jill saying, I like the way you did X, or you showed creativity, etc. That's wonderful. And that's where being very specific and positive. I believe, Jill, you're trying to get at that specificity component, which is very true. It really takes us as educators to think more about this. But yes, I saw how hard you worked at this, and it shows. That's a really great one, Phoebe. I love those statements you guys are coming up with. And I know for me, that's really hard to break that habit of, wow, you're really good at this. But it's necessary to go through that to provide those specific examples. Okay. Statement 6 of these strategies. Girls gain confidence and trust in their own reasoning when encouraged to think critically. Thinking critically. How many times do we talk about this in every webinar, Kelly? I feel anytime we talk about NGSS, anytime we talk about the next generation science standards and science practices, we're always focusing on developing critical thinking skills. Any of those practices we're focusing on. And that's where we really want girls to embrace the scientific process. We want to focus that mistakes will happen. And in doing so, we want to support an environment free of instant answers. For example, congratulations, yes, you did this one step right, you got the answer right, good job. It doesn't happen that way in real science or engineering. And we want to emphasize that mistakes will be made, and to find the best solutions to problems, it's okay to disagree. We talked, the very first SciGirls 7 strategy was all about collaboration and communication. But we need to also let girls understand that it's okay to disagree, and how can we communicate and work together to consider different approaches and viewpoints, and to try different solutions to problems so that we can come up with the best answer. And going through that process of trial and error is what will build the confidence, again, in their own reasoning and allow the girls to think critically. So those were the first 6 of the 7 statements. This last statement really resonates with me. I'd say about 2 years back or so, I discovered Fab Femmes, which is one of the collaborative groups with SciGirls, and it really embodies this final statement. And I've loved following them on social media, and we'll talk about them in just a minute. But this final statement is all about girls benefiting from relationships with role models and mentors. So, as you can imagine, girls seeing other women in STEM, women that look like them, women that come from backgrounds like them, and women talking about the struggles they have actually gone through, is really beneficial for young girls to find an interest in STEM fields. So for us as educators, how do we implement this strategy? Inviting guest speakers from all levels, inviting guest scientists to help lead an activity, showing videos of female scientists. Now, this strategy in and of itself can be incredibly daunting. So I want to break this down a little more about resources that you can utilize to bring in role models into your classroom, or at least demonstrate showing videos of role models. So the very first thing we want to direct you guys to, this is the SciGirls Connect website, and it specifically breaks down the SciGirls 7, how to engage girls in STEM. This is the more in-depth version of the quick breeze I just went through. Let me just share this URL in the Zoom meeting too before I forget. So in this Connect website, just so you see everything, it goes over the reasoning behind those, the entire guide of the SciGirls project in English and Spanish. It has several recorded webinars you can do. And then these are the actual, right here, the full tips for all 7 strategies with detailed information about how to implement those 7 strategies. And then if you are somebody who's interested in the science, here's all the research of where that strategies came from. Excuse me. However, back up top here, we have, download the complete guide here, SciGirls 7 in English and Spanish. What I want to focus on here is the SciGirls snapshots. And these are videos that will talk about some really quick, simple strategies of implementing some of these strategies here. So for here, culturally responsive teaching, explicit gender equity, student-centered and personally relevant learning, designing group work and promoting respectful conversations. This last video is the one video I do want to show you guys. It's 4.5 minutes long, but it's focused on role models. And Kelly's going to plug in said headphones and make sure the sound works. Okay.
Due to multiple barriers, girls often find themselves on the outside looking in to technical education and career pathways. Research shows that connecting girls to role models is important to developing their STEM interest and career expectations. Girls, especially learners of color, are rarely exposed to female STEM professionals. This reinforces the "no girls allowed" misconception many girls hold about these professions, making them more likely to opt out of STEM learning. Watching real women tackle STEM jobs like firefighting, welding, and bicycle design is an engaging way to turn research into reality for girls nationwide. Utilizing role models in your school or classroom can encourage girls to consider STEM careers. Research shows that female STEM role models can have a positive impact on girls and young women in many ways. Some of the benefits include an increased interest in STEM careers, an increased positive attitude towards learning, science, technology, engineering, and math, an increased sense of fit that the girls have in their STEM classrooms, finding increased relevance in STEM in their own lives, and an increased self-concept of STEM. All of that means that a girl could potentially see themselves working in a STEM career someday in the future. So there are ways you can do this. One would be to share one or more of the Women in STEM Profiles videos prepared by the SciGirls series. These are videos that are available online for you and your students to see real women in their careers sharing their stories.
I love the fact that I get to turn an idea into an actual product that people can use every day.
I've had the reaction from people that are meeting me for the first time. Are you really an engineer? And it's like, yes, I am a female and a Latina, which is not the face that you see for engineer.
Another example of how you can begin to inspire girls is to invite a fabulous female STEM or CTE career woman to your classroom, school, event, or program. And these women can provide for you an up-close and personal example of being a woman in STEM and what it means to them. From the FabFems website, click on Find a Role Model. There are SciGirls trained role models ready to work with you and your students, all local and all excited to be a part of your program. Role model strategies have been prepared by SciGirls, and these strategies help the role model know the things she needs to do in order to best present herself. Keep in mind that the messaging that your role models share with the girls is very important. Role models should make a personal connection to dispel stereotypes. Sharing their stories, photos, and hobbies, and the support they receive from friends and family are ways that they can help girls see their own journey toward a career in STEM. Role models should use positive messaging to show how STEM makes the world a better place, and how their particular work provides outlets for creativity and collaborative work. Role models should share their passion. Perhaps they share about a favorite class or even a role model that inspired them. Perhaps they share what they are looking for in their own career. Role models should make it an interactive and hands-on experience. Plan an activity that provides learners the opportunities to envision what their work life is like and how they collaborate. Role models should foster a growth mindset and promote perseverance. It might seem counterintuitive, but the research says that girls benefit from explicit examples of barriers that women needed to overcome in order to succeed in their career in STEM. Role models should show the way, offer resources and academic guidance for right here, right now. And finally, role models should follow up and invite feedback from the girls and from you, the educator. Although it may seem like a lot of work to invite a role model to your school, the benefits far outweigh the work it takes to get them there. These role models are excited and ready to work with you and your students.
So there are several of these videos around that relate to the SciGirls 7. Jill, I see you made a comment. I know these things are vital for girls, but that you also believe boys can get so much out of seeing fab femmes, etc. You saw 5th grade boys thinking girls are less and cannot do what guys can do, which is in fact very disturbing. And that is something I strongly believe in. I very briefly touched on this at the beginning of these strategies helping women, but what you're bringing up, these strategies not only help young women, but men as well. But what you're bringing up is this also helps us change the mindset of young men and how they perceive women in different fields as well, which is incredibly vital. I really appreciate that. And so going to a website such as Fab Femmes has been one of the a great partner with SciGirls. When I was looking through this, as I mentioned, I follow these guys on social media just to see a positive reinforcement to me that, yes, there are some amazing women in the fields of STEM, and it's nice to get inspired by them. So for you as educators, one of the first things you may want to do is find a female STEM role model. So we can click on that. When I was doing this, I wanted to just look, who's in Ithaca? I'm always curious to see, and we actually have 3 registered Fab Femmes in Ithaca, one who's in the field of biotechnology, one who's in the field of energy, one who's in the field of agriculture and botany, and we can look and peruse through their different profiles, figure out how to work with them. So Haley here, she specifically is more of an online role model. Abina here, it does more in-school visits, and Anna, more after-school visits. So if I was a classroom teacher and I wanted to actually have somebody come into my classrooms, I can reach out to Abina here, who's part of Cornell University, learn how her involvement is with the energy work that she does as an engineer and with environmental stewardships, but also learn about her background, the fact that she grew up in Ghana and has been fortunate to work and get to the career that she is now. But the nice thing is she's been a role model many times, and she does have different availabilities as well. So this is just another way for us to find some of these role models, especially if you're working in different fields. You could reach out and specify, are there specific programs or affiliations you want to look for? One of the other things I would just like to put out there is you yourself maybe a Fab Femme. Depending on the process or field that you're in, the experiences you've had, don't count yourself out for being a fabulous female in the STEM field. That's something where, for me, I always thought, oh, there's no way I could be a Fab Femme in my field. I'm not a leader in a STEM field. But it really depends on your self-perception. And there are many times I'm like, well, yeah, I could very well be a Fab Femme through the work that I've gone through. And I encourage you guys to think the same way. Whether you yourselves or other women that you know of, encourage them to go through this process and share their story with young women and men to get them involved. So between the Fab Femmes, this is a great opportunity to actually either connect with somebody online or have them come to your school, your educational site, and be a role model to the kids you work with there. Through SciGirls, we go back to the SciGirls Connect here. We can go under the resources, and here are the role model profiles. So again, this is an easy resource under resources and role model profiles to see these are videos. Bat biologist, bilingual, which looks like an environmental archaeologist, a bicycle engineer, a bioengineer. There's many different profiles here available. So again, that's a video version to bring in. Another video version to bring in that's a little more bird-centric that we at the Cornell Lab have helped develop is Crossing Boundaries. Crossing Boundaries is
Sorry, I typed that wrong.
helps if Kelly spells the URL correctly.
Yeah.
It's not only a project that does professional development curriculum resources, but they do have a video series that they developed where you can have your students meet conservation scientists, both men and women, ranging of diversities. But there are many ways where you as educators can then have them go here. I was looking through Marita's earlier today and watching her video talking about, the intensity of just trying to get to her field site, which is a remote location high up in the Bolivian Andes, so that she can study the effects that 3 different species of flamingos have on the ecology of this remote lake that many, many species are dependent on. But all of these conservation scientists will have these 3 videos, an in the field video where kids will actually see that many scientists are getting their hands dirty. It's not a clean-cut field, so to say. On top of watching them in the field, they can learn about the tools that they use, whether in the field or back at the lab, for Marita's sake, of her analyzing the algae she's collected and so forth. But then the 3rd video that I really like is the Plans and Dreams, where these young scientists talk about what got them into this field, how did they get to where they were, what plans do they have for the future, and so forth. So these are also a really great individual case studies for these. Okay. So I think Kelly has shared a URL to FabFems. If not, it's right here, fabfems.org. Again, I encourage you, if you want to get a role model into your class, I highly recommend it. But also, I highly recommend you or some are considering somebody sign up to become a FabFem. Crossing Boundaries, which I just discussed there, between the 6 different videos. There are some on birds, there's some more ecosystem-based, some on frogs, yeah. So it's not just bird-focused, though the bird ones are really cool. I really like Marita's between the lake ecology, the ecological components. I really like that. And then the final project that we want to talk about today is the National Girls Collaborative Project. So to break the 3 projects down, FabFems is a great tool to provide that role model component. SciGirls is a national project which will provide you educational resources, and these strategies to how to be a great educator. And they do offer trainings. However, National Girls Collaborative is kind of the networker. I guess I would describe the networker between all three of them. So the National Girls Collaborative Project, or NGCP, brings together organizations that are committed to informing and encouraging girls to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So to give you a scope of how large NGCP is, when I talk about them being a network, it really is. They have 33 collaboratives that serve 41 states. So here's just a screenshot from their website of all the states that they do have collaboratives they serve on. And that allows them, all those collaboratives, by collaboratives, like New York State is one collaborative, for example. I think the Dakotas are combined into one collaborative, et cetera. All those collaboratives work with over 36,000 organizations across the country. And those people, those organizations serve over 20 million girls and almost 10 million boys. And so again, this is a massive collaborative focused again on STEM, not just girls specifically, though they are the National Girls Collaborative Project. They're trying to make it that equal opportunity for girls. Now, one of the big things that they do is, with all these collaboratives, they are focusing on training practitioners, educators, through webinars and in-person trainings. And they trained over 31,000 educators across the country. We got involved with NGCP 4 years ago, I would like to say. Maybe right before you came. It was even way before you came, actually. 5 years ago. 5 to 6 years ago, actually, we got involved with NGCP, and they are a great partner in the fact that they don't develop their own educational resources. They really focus on the research and help us as an organization develop our resources and trainings so that they are most effective for reaching underserved audiences and specific communities while targeting girls. They utilize the SciGirls Seven, but they also focus on ensuring that the resources and trainings that we provide are relevant to our particular audience. So with the National Girls Collaborative Project, what you can do is go on their website. Again, we'll do this live stream here if I can pull up their website. National Girls Collaborative Project. So here's their website right here. Many different things we can go and learn about, so just getting about how to get involved. But the best thing that I recommend is finding a collaborative in your area. So this is the image that I pulled up, and you could see, depending on where you're located, you can find information. For New York, I can see it's the New York STEAM Girls Collaborative. They're in charge of New York State, which one of their key partners is actually a partner that Kelly works with, the New York State Network for Youth Success. That's one of the partners, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll go through and talk about, what programs are available, mini grants, events. The leadership is key, because they'll tell you, who are the people that are being the leaders in that area. But it's all going to be dependent on each state. However, I highly recommend getting involved, signing up with your state, and how to connect with them and being involved in their webinars. So Jill, that's unfortunate then. I'm not sure what to tell you on that, because I don't know who manages it. But
I would reach out to the leaders and see if they have any.
Yes,
cooking.
that would be a good idea. I know I am actually giving a presentation with one of the Oregon partners of NGCP at the NSTA conference, National Science Teachers Association conference in St. Louis. So I do know NGCP is very active, but I think that internal website may be due to that state. So like Kelly suggested.
So yeah, sometimes what happens is there's a collaborative will be really active for a while working on a specific project, and then there might be a little bit of space between times when they hook up with another project, because NGCP works with a ton of partners. And then sometimes, could be a lag in the website, but I would definitely consider reaching out.
Yeah, if it's been since 2014, I think, the connecting with them would be great. And then do reach out to see if they have, I don't know if they have any webinars coming up or not. They did before.
Yeah, they won in March.
Yep. So upcoming events here happening in Tallahassee, Florida. You can see past events of what's going on too. There's just a lot of different things that are going around, but NGCP, trying to figure out who are your state leaders and going from there. Oh, the program we're doing in April again, that is part of the National Science Teachers Association Conference. It's in St. Louis. Let's see.
This is nationals, right?
Yeah, it's the nationals. So NSTA, though I will say, though it says National Science Teachers Association, you don't have to be a science teacher and you don't have to be part of a school to attend. What is happening is their national conference, St. Louis. So between 8,000 to 10,000 educators from around the country and even internationally will be meeting in St. Louis from April 11th to the 14th. We always attend, we being the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, always attend NSTA. But we do have, not only will our team have a booth, but we also are going to be giving sessions. And one of those sessions is with, let's see, I believe it's called Citizen Science Outdoors. One of those sessions is in collaboration with the National Girls Collaborative Project. Too many nationals.
Mm-hmm. Look at all these citizen
I know, this is so wonderful.
This is so cool.
Taking your classroom outdoors with citizen science. This is the session we'll be doing, which I'm actually replacing Jen Feet there. Mm-hmm. But Cassie Herrera and myself, we're doing that. I don't know if Karen, she's trying to make it, but I don't believe she can or not. She's one of our large partners. She's a chief executive officer at NGCP. But this will be a hands-on workshop we're doing with NGCP and Citizen Science and us. Well, look, another one of ours. Kelly, there's your session, A Bird in the Hand, Citizen Science Outdoors. You can tell we do a lot of sessions at NSTA. So feel free to join us at NSTA.
And a lot of sessions about citizen science, because participating in citizen science inherently meets so many NGSS standards and practices, and also meets so many of the best practices for involving underserved youth in STEM.
Yep. So overall, one of the biggest things we've talked about today is how I think the biggest thing is the SciGirls 7 and these strategies that we as educators can utilize to alter our teaching slightly and make it more accessible and a thriving environment for not just girls but all learners. And those resources between SciGirls, between FabFems, between your NGCP collaborators that are available. So we hope that these little dive into these resources were beneficial for you guys. We'll take any questions that you may have, but feel free to keep in touch with us. We are getting social on social media, Bird Sleuth. We do have our new website, birds.cornell.edu/K12, and our new email address, k12lab@cornell.edu. If you would like a letter of completion for attending this webinar, just send us that email at k12lab@cornell.edu, and I'll get those letter of completions out to you within this week. This webinar was recorded. I'm going to stop the recording now.